Hey, Amazon sellers. I want to share something that can completely change the way you run your business. For the last decade, I've built a world-class Amazon team that's helped me sell over $50 million on the platform and scale multiple seven-figure brands. Now, that same team and process is available to help you build, grow, and scale your Amazon business. This is not a course. It's not a DIY program. It's done for you Amazon growth handled by proven experts. We handle everything from listing optimization and SEO to PPC, inventory, catalog management, promotions, review strategy, compliance, and new product launches. So you can focus on running your business while we handle the rest. If you're ready to turn your Amazon channel into a profit machine, visit the link in the show notes, calendly.com/firingtheman/Amazon, and book a time to see if this is a good fit for you.
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the e-commerce and subscription world, John Roman, the CEO of Battle Brands, the parent company behind BattleBox, the massive outdoor gear subscription box that became a household name after landing its own Netflix series, Southern Survival. John's story is wild. He helped scale the BattleBox Group, which also included Carnivore Club and Wanlo, $30 million subscription portfolio before the company was acquired in 2021. But here's where it gets even better. Less than 2 years later, John led a group to buy BattleBox back and take it private again. Talk about betting on yourself. He's a 5-time founder with 5 exits and 4 acquisitions under his belt, a rare combo of operator and deal maker. He's an absolute expert in content marketing, community building, retention, and short-form video, having cracked the code on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts long before most brands caught on. If you want to learn about how to turn fans into customers, reduce churn, boost AOV, and build an 8-figure brand through storytelling and strategy, you're going to love this conversation. Please welcome to the show, John Roman. John, welcome.
David, thanks for having me, man. Can I have that intro? That might be like the kindest words I've ever heard. It is amazing.
Well, all publicly available and yeah, absolutely. I can send that over to you, but
great to be here.
Yeah. So for people that have not heard of you, can you share a little bit of your background and path in the e-commerce world?
Sure. So e-com is my third career, which career one, to the joy of my parents after graduating university, I decided I was going to play poker professionally. So I did that for 4.5 years. TLDR was, it was good, was not great. I was a B+ player, not an A player, worked really hard to become an A, couldn't do it, couldn't make it. And you look at people that, were still in that profession that were, my age now. And it's probably not the spot I wanted to be in. It looked like they picked up a couple other vices. Life had been maybe a little bit hard. So made the tough decision not to continue that. Had started dating my now wife at that time. So made the decision I'm going to jump into the corporate world, work for the man.
That's right.
And I grabbed an entry-level sales job that typically was filled by recent college grads. Took that at 26, and obviously had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I'm 5 years older than everyone else. And outworked them, both smarter, harder, had a lot of success in sales, quickly moved up the corporate ladder. And by the end of that journey, I was building and training and launching sales teams, specifically B2B in the enterprise world. Somehow along that path, I started investing in companies, not in a traditional like private equity or VC world, but like I was building a network of people. And when things crossed my desk randomly, that could use investment, I did that. And BattleBox was one of those, companies. So I invested in it a week and a half after launch. And, what I agreed to be a part of was a board seat and, 5 hours a month of some high level advice from just someone with myself having, relatively strong business acumen. And it quickly changed, where, I was putting in 50 hours, 60 hours for my day job, my corporate job, and then 50, 60 hours with BattleBox too. And it became, just not sustainable. You can't continue. I'm not built to continually put in 120 hour work weeks. And, it just got to a point where I had to choose one or the other. The startup that I was working for, had revenue, slightly north of 10 million. And in April of 2016, so 14 months after we launched BattleBox, the run rate was looking like it was going to do a little bit more than the company I was working for. And there was that moment I was like, okay, well then I'm a pretty risk adverse guy. And I was like, okay, that's it. Let's do this. And, we had just bought our first home 3 months prior. So my wife was super thrilled, to hear that I wanted to, do this after us getting this mortgage and living in the home we live in now. But, she was supportive and we did it, and the rest is history. And you touched on a lot of it.
That's outstanding. Given the name of the show, Firing the Man, I do want to dig into that day, that aha moment where you said, I'm doing it. I'm going in, I'm putting in my notice, and I'm going with BattleBox full time. Do you remember, what that day was like? What you were thinking?
Yeah. So, the order of things might have been a little bit off if my wife happens to listen to this. She did give me the blessing and hey, let's do that. I support you. But the day itself was, I absolutely remember. So I had been brought in only 4 months prior to this new company. So the reality of me leaving a place in 4 months is not in my DNA. I've done so much hiring and unfortunately firing in building these sales roles. Like I had ingrained, just because I had said it so much, like you got to put 2 years in somewhere to really give it a fair shot. And we were sitting here 4 months in. I had come to the conclusion that the company that, great company, and the CEO now was the CMO then. She came on at the same time I did, and I had lunch with her last week, and she has grown the company to where it, maybe 5x'd it since, the point, back in 2016 when I was there. But the software that we were selling was not where it needed to be. And I was meeting with the CEO and a board member. The board member was the one that had brought me into the opportunity. And I just remember sitting there, hey, this is, the software is not where it needs to be. There's a couple ways we get there. One, we make an acquisition, strategic acquisition, tuck it in, and get the technology faster. But we're talking with offer, due diligence, integration, like it's going to be a year and a half. And then the software might be ready, or we can build it ourselves. We're looking at 2.5 years. And, they were like, oh, okay. Well, which one do you want to do? Well, you brought me on to build a sales team. And there's also a part of me that was like, there's some attractiveness, of of doing one of those, okay, trying to find a company to buy technology-wise, or leading a team of and building something, which I know nothing about. So both were super outside my wheelhouse. And there was a part of me that was like, okay, maybe I'm going to learn a new skill set. But then I have in the back of my head this looming, and then they knew about BattleBox already. I was so excited about it, I couldn't shut up. So they definitely knew that it exists, and they knew that it was growing rapidly. And I'm sure it was a general fear that I might dip out because of it. But that was just the moment where I was just very honest with him, and I said, look, like, it's not what I signed up for. And I think both options are exciting. But that's the thing about the corporate world, right? There's a lot of ask, a lot of taking. And by design, there's not a lot of giving from the corporate overlords, right? These businesses are typically built with shareholder value being the number one pillar. And that normally comes at the expense of the people working for the man. So lots of other stories of my corporate life, but that was just the moment I could have. I had equity, phantom equity with this opportunity, right? If there was ever this exit event, I was surely going to get a payday. But I had actual meaningful, real, no rules equity on the BattleBox side, and they're not the same. And I wanted to do it, so that was it.
Outstanding. I love that Firing the Man story. And it seems like you were talking about the 100-hour weeks. It seems like when people, you almost have to go through that. You have to, as you're building up whatever it is on the side, as you're working your corporate job, there is something about that is almost necessary for the process. I was a 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. guy. And then I'd go to my day job at CPA firm. And it was something that, as I look back on it, I'm glad I went through it. At the time, it was exhausting, but absolutely part of it. So let's turn the corner and talk about BattleBox. So let's talk about the climb up, growing that company. What were some of the levers that you pulled that really led to successful growth?
Sure. So in the beginning, can tell you that we're Facebook ad experts, but that would be a lie. We didn't really know what we were doing on the Facebook side. We obviously had enough critical thinking to know how to start an ad and create an ad and add a creative and put some copy with a call to action and have a website. But it was not rocket science back then. We launched exclusively on Facebook. There's all of our lead source was Facebook. Or if you went to Google Analytics and looked at traffic and source, it was all Facebook, because that's where we tested and started. And obviously, it's probably not a best practice for longevity. We quickly realized that and diversified our lead sources and traffic. But that's all we did. Facebook by itself in that first year got us $4.5 million in revenue. And just and not even a complex strategy, just spinning up ads, and they were working. And it wasn't until we got into year 2 that we really started diversifying. When I came on board full time in April of 2016, I had two main immediate objectives to accomplish. One, there was a fourth partner, and they just weren't bringing any value, and they were just given this equity, but they weren't doing anything. So I was elected to figure it out, which was not a fun thing to be chosen for, but I had to figure out how to get this fourth partner out. And the result was writing them a at the time very large check relatively to get that equity back. And then the second thing, which was enjoyable, was reaching out to one of our number one creators at the time, bringing the most traffic This is in year 2. And that was Brandon Curran. If you've seen a BattleBox video, the bearded gentleman, and reaching out to him and getting him to move him, his wife, and his 3 kids down to Georgia, because the vision was we were going to lead in on content, and it was just going to be about content. Content was going to be our top of funnel, and building a community through the content. And he saw the vision and did it, and that was that inflection point. He went from that video he was doing at nighttime on his own once a month to how many videos can you film, edit, and post farm to table yourself. Mm-hmm. So that was the game changer.
That's outstanding. That is, on the content side of things, that seems to be an area where a lot of brands get it wrong. And I'm curious, what, as a company is thinking about their own content and their own promotion, what are some things that they should be considering?
As silly as it is to say, when you're doing content, I think there's 2 elements that people get wrong. One, they don't show the human element. In today's day and age, especially this was true 10 years ago, but it's even more true now. People crave connection, and in a post-COVID world where there's so much remote work now and human interaction is not at the same level it was before, connection matters. So I think not having that human element, not showing whether it's vulnerability or what have you, showing the human element, I think is key. The second piece on the things that I think brands get wrong, it's not lack of something, but it's the opposite. It's selling too hard. It's trying to make it about selling a product. And as much as people, crave connection, people also don't want to be sold to. Nobody wants to be sold to, whether it's a unsolicited phone call or an ad when you're trying to do something else. Like, yes, they work, or they wouldn't be done, but the vast majority of people do not enjoy being on the other end of any of that.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And as I think of some of the recent products that I've engaged with, or brands that I've engaged with, and I think about their content, it's raw, it's real, it's, hey, here's what our warehouse looks like, and here's where we make the stuff. Or here's some issues that we're running into today. And it has nothing. There's no sales pitch. There's no coupon code. There's no click the link below. It's just, here's what we're doing. And so, no, I think that's really, really sound advice. And it's interesting. You had mentioned post-COVID era, and that is an inflection point, and in a lot of different areas of people's life. But speaking to e-commerce specifically, what are some things you've noticed in the post-COVID era? You had brought up the point of people craving connection. Are there any other things, any other strategies that you think particularly do well in this era?
Yeah. So, you talk about during the epidemic itself, 2020, 2021, couldn't do any wrong in e-com, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everything worked. Everything was great. All we do is grow and sell more. And then the reality of not normalcy, but new normalcy came into play. And I mean, so we don't technically view ourselves as a subscription box, because at this point we do so much more. But if I am going to categorize this as a subscription box, I have a lot of friends that are their peers that run similar, not outdoor per se, but subscription box brands. And they all saw 30, 40, 50% drop in revenues as we saw, this new normal. Now, no one wants to look at 2020 and the start of 2021 as an anomaly. And if you do, 2022 still higher than 2019. So everything's still moving in the right direction. You just had this little blip on the radar. But the reality is most businesses in 2020 and 2021 just thought that that was going to be the new standard. So they made decisions based on that would not have been sustainable with 2019 or 2022 numbers. So it's, silver lining is it's still the business, the spaces continue to grow. You just can't really compare it against that. But back to your question of things that matter, I think it honestly depends on what you're selling, right? Where it falls in the need-want scale. If it's on the want, all I know is building content and community around it. That's what we've had success with, and I could suggest other things, but unless I've done them and proven them out, I don't think it's a recommendation.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit more about subscriptions. So I know, and I'm included in this, there are a lot of people listening who have direct-to-consumer brands, and there is not an element of subscription. There are a series of one-time purchases. And as we peek over the fence at the subscription box, and we're looking at our own customer lifetime value and the customer lifetime value on a subscription service, it looks nice. Yeah. And so what are some ways, or what are some best practices in putting together a subscription box program that, some of our listeners could tack on to their existing D2C brands?
Yeah. So I think, to a D2C brand listener, I don't think it necessarily needs to be a subscription box. That could be an element of it. It could be it. I think you need to look at it in a different lens, and that's just a lens of membership, right? So if you have assuming you have a product that isn't just a thing you would buy one time and be done, I don't think, someone that, bad example, but $3,000 computer, like someone's not going to get a membership or a subscription to that. You might get a membership for so now I'm wrong. You might actually get a membership because you might need service or added benefit. But that's, to me, the lens to look at. So I guess everything could be a membership. But membership, right, to get reoccurring revenue. And I think for us, the way we look at it is we're obsessed with bringing value to that customer outside of just the physical product. As silly as it is to say, we, on average, Pro Plus, which is the $170 a month with sales tax and shipping, is $200 a month. That is our most popular product SKU. That's 55% of our base is in that product. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, a certain part of it is about the items in the box, right? You can't get around that. But we just make so much of it not about that. It's about the membership. It's about the community. It's about the added values and benefits that you get outside of it. Our goal is to provide that much value outside, that outside value, you could argue, would pay on its own accord for the monthly charge, which is a lot. So it's just a different approach of giving more than you're necessarily charging, providing value, and it doesn't have to be in a physical product manner.
Absolutely. In regards to, you document the content, and then you have to decide what platform do I put this on, or what platforms more likely. What are, as we sit here talking in October of 25, where do you see a lot of opportunity? You were talking earlier about the Wild West of Facebook ads, where everyone was a pro. I remember those days, and I look back on them. Yeah. Where is that opportunity as you sit here today? What do you think?
So every time I have an absolute answer, and I before saying it, I want to preface it a little bit because I was a non-believer in this because the U.S. has talked about it for the past 10 years, and it was just never the case. And I think we're finally at the early stages of it actually finally being a reality, and that's live shopping. Live shopping, to me, so we launched it in April, so relatively not that long ago. We're on Whatnot as the platform. We've done some testing on TikTok Shop. We'll do some testing likely on eBay coming up. And then once Amazon rolls theirs out, we'll probably look at that too. The reality is it's, for 10 years, someone has been saying, live shopping, look at China. China is different, right? It's a different consumer. It's a different society. It's a different consumer behavior, different consumer purchasing variables. I don't think we'll ever be China. But even if we become a fraction of what they're doing, then it's all of a sudden a very, very large $1 trillion in 10 years space. So China will be live shopping this year. They'll do it over $1 trillion in revenue. We're nowhere near that. I think we're probably maybe 70 billion this year, maybe close to 100 billion. But all of the indicators are there that it's exponentially. It exponentially grew from 2024, and all of the things you're seeing, Whatnot, for example, was 12 employees pre-COVID. They raised at a $5 billion valuation this year and have 600 employees. Like, that's a force. And they're just one, right? You have eBay trying to figure it out, Amazon trying to figure it out, ByteDance or TikTok or whoever the new owner is going to be trying to figure it out. And I think this is the time that it actually is going to happen. And if I wouldn't have jumped in April and we wouldn't have had the success we're having there, I don't think I'd be a believer because I'm numb to it, right? I'm numb to hearing about it for a decade and trying stuff and it not working. But this is the opportunity. I think it's still early. I think you could come in to live shopping now, figure it out through mistakes, learning through just jumping in there, and still be able to grab giant land amounts where you could just dominate and establish yourself.
Okay. And you had mentioned, what was the platform again that you're using?
So we're using Whatnot, WHATNOT.
Okay. All right. When I think live shopping, I think of old school QVC, somebody standing on a stage, and I have a hunch that is it is probably different in practice. What does your live shopping setup look like? And is it very formal, like scripted content? Is it off the cuff? Are you doing it with influencers? What does it look like?
Sure. So QVC, Home Shopping Network, that whole genre of live selling, it skipped our generation. Our generation caused it to fail, right? But you look at our parents' generation, they'd watch it and they'd order the lamp that you can touch on, and it's a thing. My wife's mother still is watching it and ordering stuff. But our generation didn't find it to be the right way to buy stuff, especially with the rise of e-commerce. And this new generation, it's gone full circle, but there's a major difference, right? And the major difference is the new generation does not have attention span at all, right? The success of TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts validates that every day. All they want to do is doom scroll. And that's what the live shopping is now. It's the same format. Whatnot is literally the same format as doom scrolling on any of those three platforms, vertical short forms. The difference is, TikTok Shop, the algorithm will sneak some shopping stuff in there. The difference is Whatnot is a shopping platform. So the intent is much higher, right? You go on TikTok, you're doom scrolling to be entertained, and then you see an item and you might buy it. but there's no brand loyalty there. It's a very transactional scenario. While Whatnot, and I'm not saying Whatnot is the end all be all. There's, I'm sure, some other options out there, and the reality is one of the big players will likely figure it out as well. And if they can't figure it out, they'll buy somebody that did. So, I don't know if Whatnot ends up being the winner. There's a world where Amazon buys them, right? But it's a much different experience. It's vertical short form. So you're not talking about a product for a 15-minute segment. You're talking about a product possibly for only 20 seconds. Because that's what current attention spans are. So it's quick, it's additional products, it's no due diligence or research on the product. You're not opening up another tab and looking, like, just got to make a decision. Very emotional purchase. And this current generation they love to make emotional purchases. So it's just a different world, and it's tough to get your head around it. But to answer the last part of your question, for us, we didn't believe that this was going to be a thing because we had heard about it for so long. So in April, we did a very light test. We did 10 hours of live selling. We just used existing team members. So Brandon, the gentleman I spoke about earlier, he did the shows. And we had one of our marketing coordinator was running the back end of it, and a couple of us on the marketing team were just watching and gathering these learnings and trying to understand it. Fast forward to October, we have 2 full-time showrunners that all they do is run the back end of live. We're doing about 45 hours of programmed content every week. And we have five hosts, technically 4. The 5th is coming on later this month, and we're now almost at full capacity for the single channel. So we're deciding what a secondary and tertiary channel on Whatnot, or maybe it goes elsewhere, looks like. So it's completely changed, in our approach towards it is completely changed in the 6 months we've been doing it.
I'm glad that we went on this detour on live shopping, because you're absolutely right. It is something that our generation is kind of scoffed at a little bit, yeah. and the results are speaking for themselves with what you guys are doing and scaling up. And so this has been an outstanding conversation, John. I feel like we could talk for hours, but want to be respectful of your time. Before we close out the show, we have something called the Fire Round. It's 4 questions we ask everybody at the end of the episode. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. What is your favorite book?
The Signal and the Noise.
Okay. What are your hobbies?
Sports cards and traveling and food.
Very nice. What is one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
I'm going to go with your earlier, the 4 a.m. wake up. I used to wake up at 4:30 every day. I did it for so many years.
Absolutely, yeah. You and I agree on that one for sure.
Don't get me wrong. I still wake up at 7, but
it's a different life experience for sure.
4:30 and 7 are not the same.
Yeah. And final question, what do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you almost have to have a certain level of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a very risk adverse person, but it's, I almost have to at times tell myself, okay, stop being so risk adverse. Think about crazy ideas, crazy stuff. Just critical thinking and a slight, just a slight crazy view of reality. So there's got to be something wrong with you to truly execute it.
I fully agree with that. You go to enough conferences, there's a personality type of entrepreneur. Although I do believe that word is way overused.
I hate the word.
I do too. But you know what I'm talking about. There's a personality type of, and they are a little crazy. And I would put myself into that category, and I am a little crazy. And you go to conferences and you meet people that are a little bit crazy, and I think that's a very good answer.
Yeah.
And so, outstanding, great answer. And that's the first one that I've heard going down that road, but I certainly agree with it. So, John, if people are interested in learning more about BattleBox, checking out your podcast, what's the best way to do that?
BattleBox is BATTLBOX.com. You can just Google it or spell it any which way, it'll pop up. Podcast is AwesomePod.com, ASOMPOD. Again, you could just type in ASOM podcast into Google and it'll come right up. And then I have a blog called OnlineQuesto.com where I do a lot of building in public, a lot of e-com talk. It's a little bit different than most because the goal there is to not just show the wins, but really highlight the losses, because the losses are where you get the learnings and how you get better and stronger. And I think social media in general, but especially like even LinkedIn, like, there's a lot of noise out there, right? And the noise is people just bragging and talking about how great everything is. And the signal, see what I did there? I brought back the reference to the book. The signal there is that most people have way more losses than they have wins. Mm-hmm. And I think the losses form who you are and how you handle situations and how you push back towards them onward.
Outstanding. Well, John, thank you so much for your time today. And for our audience, go check out John's podcast, check out BattleBox and everything that he's doing. I'll post the links to all that in the show notes, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getida that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getida collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getida.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?